Okay, so we are over the halfway mark for the year, and I thought it might be fun to check in with my 2020 reading goals and see where I'm at. Did I stick to what I said I was going to do? Did I not stick to what I'm going to do? Even if I didn't, I still have time to get there. But where am I at the moment? You'll find out in just a moment. But first, I just wanted to show you my bookshelf and draw attention to the fact that I've swapped books around. So I've realized now, of all times, that my Mistborn books and my Vampire Academy books aren't predominantly displayed in my videos because they're on the two highest shelves in my bookshelf. So I have temporarily swapped my dystopian books with my Vampire Academy books so that you can see them more prominently. And as much as I love Harry Potter, and I do, it is certainly one of my favourite series of all time, I have swapped out Harry Potter with Mistborn so that these books by Brandon Sanderson that have changed my life and revolutionized reading for me can get some proper display time. So welcome to Vampire Academy and Mistborn. Okay, now that we've said that, let's get on to my goals, my reading goals for 2020. Did I hit the mark? Have I not hit them yet? Did I completely move away from them? Let's find out. So, the first goal that I had for 2020 was to read this year. So in 2018 and 2019, I did not finish any books. I picked up a total of 3, but did not finish any of them. My goal was to make sure that I do read, and this goal gets a big tick because I definitely am reading this year. My second goal for 2020 was, more specifically, the amount of books that I was going to read in 2020. And this reading goals for 2020 video was one of the very first videos that I did, so I had no idea how the year was going to go. I had no idea how I was going to do. I had just come off my second year in a row where I had not completed any books at all. So I thought it might be a really good goal to have one book for every month, totaling 12 books. I was hoping it would be more, but I didn't want to push myself too hard, and so I thought it would be more realistic to only read one book every month. Well, I have eclipsed this times 5 already. So far, I've read 61 books in 2020, so this goal was ever changing, and after the first 2 or 3 months, I upped the goal from 12 to, I believe it was to 25. Then I upped that goal from 25 to 50, and I have since updated that goal from 50 to 100. I'm not going to change this goal, but I do think it is a realistic goal to achieve, and according to Goodreads, at the moment I am 6 books ahead of my reading schedule, which is of my target of 100 books, which is really amazing. So I'm going to leave it at 100. If I can get through 100 books this year, that would just be incredible. So I've eclipsed my original goal at least by 6. My third goal for this year was to buddy read at least 2 books, because I thought this would be a lot of fun. So this goal is half achieved at the time of recording. However, by the end of this very week, will be fully completed. So, excuse me. So the first book that I did buddy read this year was a book called Personal Demons by Lisa Desroches. This is the second book that I read this year, and I was in a very interesting place back then because I've read so many wonderful books since then. But anyway, so I was reading this with a friend of mine, and we had a very enjoyable experience together. And if you want to see more about that, you can go back and check out my reviews and talks on Personal Demons. But yeah, I ticked that off very, very early on. It was a number of weeks after I had set this goal. So the second book that I'm going to be buddy reading this year comes courtesy of me and my mum. As of this month, we've decided to have a book club that we are going to be in together, where we're going to buddy read, but we're buddy reading in a different way. Rather than reading a book the same book at the same time. I'm going to read a book that she loves that I've never read before. She's going to read a book that I love that she hasn't read before. And this month, to kick things off, I'm going to be reading I'm trying to remember, From Scratch by Tembi Locke, and she's going to be reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, and I'm really excited to talk to her about that, because if she somehow loves this book, maybe, fingers crossed, just maybe, she'll get through the entire series, and if she does, the amount of discussions we can have. Okay, so my fourth goal for 2020 was to read 2 books that my subscribers suggest. So just like with the previous goal, I am halfway through completing this goal at the moment, and the second one is going to be completed very, very soon. So the first book that I read that was a suggestion from one of my subscribers, one of my very good subscribers, and you know who you are, and thank you so much, is a book called The Bizarre Book of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. I don't have this book on me at the moment because it was a library book and it was due back, so I don't have it on me anymore, but it was a compendium of different horror stories. The reason why this book was recommended to me, or different horror stories by Stephen King, I should say. The reason this book was recommended to me was because I read a horror story by Stephen King the month before, and it just wasn't scary at all, and I went into the book fully prepared to be scared because it is a horror, and I was very much let down. So my subscriber recommended this book to me, and there were some books as a part of this compendium that did scare me, and I really appreciated that. So to that subscriber, again, you know who you are, thank you very much for recommending it. If you have any other recommendations, feel free to let me know. So that's the only book that I've actually read so far that's been recommended from my subscribers. But the second book that has been recommended to me from a subscriber, I'm not going to let you know what it is yet, but I can confirm as of today, in fact not even an hour before I began this video, I confirmed that this book has arrived at my bookstore. It's going to be delivered to me today, and I am going to be reading it in August. So I'm very excited about that, so I will be able to check off that goal, which is amazing. So thank you, you know who you are, and you'll get a big shout out in my August TBR. Let's move on to my 5th goal that I had for my reading goals for 2020, which was to read 1 book that a fellow booktuber suggests. I wanted to read a book from a booktuber that I subscribe to. This goal was completely eclipsed. As a matter of fact, around about a third of the books that I've read so far this year were suggestions from my favorite booktubers. So I just want to give an example of 1 book for 3 booktubers so that you can see the types of books that were recommended to me. So first of all, Murphy Napier, who is my all-time favorite booktuber, lots of love, massive shout out to her. I would not be here with this channel if it wasn't for Murphy. She is the inspiration behind this channel, and she definitely keeps me going with her videos. So thank you, Murphy. Big shout out to you. Murphy Napier actually recommended the Mistborn series to me, and for those of you who have been following my videos, you know how much the first book, which back in the day I called Mistborn because that's what I thought it was called, and that's what it was advertised as. It's actually not called Mistborn, it's called The Final Empire. For those of you who have been following me, you know how much this book revolutionized reading for me. I would not have even known about this book, let alone purchased it, if not for Murphy Napier. So thank you very much, Murphy. I very much appreciate it. The second booktuber that I'm going to give a shout out to is the wonderful Elliot Brooks. So Elliot recommended a book that's a little bit behind me. It's right here. 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. While Murphy has spoken about this book before, it was Elliot's recommendation of this book that got me to pick it up and read it. This is a popular book, just like Mistborn, but I don't think it's as popular as Mistborn, and I've had a lot of people recommending this book to me since I have read it, which I really do appreciate. So I ended up liking this book. It's more of a character-driven book than a plot-driven book, which I don't normally tend to like, But Lee Bardugo, who is the author of this book, does did this character-driven book really, really well. However, it wasn't enough for me to be interested enough to read the second book in the duology of this series, I don't remember what's called, the Grishaverse series, Crooked Kingdom, but I did like it. So thank you for the recommendation, Elliot Brooks, and there is your shout out. So the third book that was recommended to me by a booktuber, I actually don't have here right now because I thought I loaned it to someone, but I in fact have actually given it away, and that's okay. I'm fine with the fact that I have given it away. If I've given a book away, it's easier than loaning a book out to someone anyway. But the third book that was recommended to me was a book called, I'm just going to remember, Pet Sematary. And this book was recommended to me by Daniel Green. So Daniel is an amazing booktuber as well. All of them are. Murphy Napier, Elliot Brooks, Daniel Green, they're all absolutely wonderful. So go ahead and check out their channels. You will not be disappointed. So definitely check them out. I read Pet Sematary, however, I did go into that book expecting it to be a horror and was disappointed. So you remember me telling you about the subscriber that recommended the Bizarre Book of Bad Dreams. That is just one title that's hard to remember. The Bizarre Book of Bad Dreams was recommended to me because Pet Sematary just wasn't scary enough for me. And then I ended up finding out subsequent to reading Pet Sematary that it's not really meant to be a scary book. It's more a book that deals with grief and loss. And had I known that at that time, I would not have read it. Now, it's not to say that I don't appreciate grief and loss. I do. In fact, there are two books that I read this month that we will talk about in my monthly wrap-up that both deal with grief and loss in two completely different ways that I really loved. But for that time, it just wasn't something that I wanted to read when I was going in purely for the sake of wanting a horror that was going to scare me. In saying that, Daniel has recommended a number of books over his time on Booktube, and there is a book that I'm going to be, I think, provided that it's coming tonight, because I have a delivery of books coming tonight, which I'm really excited about. Provided it is coming tonight, will be on my TBR for August. So if that's the case, Daniel, you will get the appropriate shout out there. Okay. Goal number 6 for this year was that I wanted to DNF books at the quarter of the way through stage. So this was a massive goal for me because I always considered myself a book purist who had to finish every book that I start. I am proud to say that I have reached the double digits. I have DNF'd 10 books so far this year, and I'm really proud of myself. So definitely, as I was saying in that video, and as I've just reiterated now, I consider myself coming into this year to be a book purist. If I started a book, I had to finish it. If I started a series, I had to finish it. And certainly on the series side, I can definitely point to Mistborn. While the first era, which is the first 3 books of Mistborn, are absolutely amazing, the second era I didn't like so much, but I started the series, so I'm forcing myself to finish it. However, when it comes to books on their own, I used to have the same philosophy that if I've started a book, I need to finish it before I pick up another one, because this is something that I grew up learning. It was part of my culture, and yeah, so I wanted to set a goal to be okay with DNFing books, and I've DNF'd 10 so far this year, so I'm really, really happy about that. Did I get a quarter of the way through with all of them? No. With some of them I got a lot further, and with some of them I got through a lot less, but I am very, very proud of myself that I was able to put a book down and say, no, this book is not for me. So very happy I was able to achieve that goal. Goal number 7 is more of a goal to not do something, which is interesting, but I still wanted to include it here because I mentioned it in my goals for 2020 video, was that I have no goal to read an ebook. So a lot of people have ended up recommending Kindle to me, which, by the way, thank you very much. A lot of you have been saying, read this book, read that book, it's on Kindle, Kindle's amazing, this, that, the other, okay? But this is just not the medium for me, and I have stuck to this. I personally much prefer to, let's hold blood promise while we say this, which is kind of funny, making a blood promise about it. I much prefer to hold the physical book in my hand while I'm reading it than to hold a phone or another electronic device. It's just not the same. I've always preferred to have a physical book on me for the physical reading experience. The feel of it, the smell of it, the whole experience of a physical book to me is just so much better. Also for my eyes, I have very sensitive eyes, so when I'm reading something on a device that is lit up, it is very hard for me to read that as well. But more of the reason is because I like to hold the physical book. So I did stick to that goal of not doing something, not reading an ebook. And yeah, to those of you who have recommended Kindle to me, while I do appreciate it, it's just not something that I'm going to do right now, and I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future. So my 8th goal for 2020 was to read at least one fanfic or one fiction press book. So very quickly, I did explain this in my 2020 reading goals video, but I will reiterate it again. Fanfiction, I should say, .net is a site where writers can upload their books for free and get them out there, but being fanfiction.net, fanfic is all about writing books to continue on from an original source material, and majority of the time you should the done thing, generally speaking, is to stick to canon of whatever that is. So if you're writing a book based on a TV show or a film or a book series, it is to stick with what you know of that original source material and continue it going. Then you have fictionpress.net, which is more about writing completely original works. I have books on both sites, but I hadn't done a lot of reading on those sites. So I set myself the goal to read at least one fanfic or one fiction press book because it would be something different for me, and it has taken me a very long time to get there, but I have selected the book I'm going to read, and the book I'm going to read comes from fanfic.net, and it is called, I had to look this up yesterday because I got the name wrong, so it is called Checkmate, and it is by Nadi, Naadi. I will leave her fanfic page in the description below, so you can check out her page if you want to. So this book is fanfic, so like I was saying before, excuse me, a fanfic book follows the canon of a TV show, a TV series, a film series, a book or a book series, and this particular fanfic, Checkmate, follows the series of Harry Potter. It is an LGBTIQ plus, what was known back in the day as a slash book, that follows the romanticizing, shall we say, of Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy. So it's been a really interesting read, and I've really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was called Dare Chess because Dare Chess is something that's discussed quite a lot in the book, but it's not. It's called Checkmate, so check it out. See what I did there? Okay, so my next 3 goals are to do with my channel specifically. So goal number 9 was to upload 1 video a week discussing what I am reading. So let's get into specific details with this because I did achieve this goal and I'm very proud of myself that I have. So I began my reading vlogs on the 20th of January, and yeah, and that's what I was calling them. I was calling them reading vlogs. The only time I ever missed one was if I was doing a monthly wrap-up in that same week, because there's really no point to having a reading vlog when you're already planning on discussing those books in a monthly wrap-up anyway. But then things changed for me. From the 1st of March, I began to do midweek as well as end-of-week reading vlogs, and I have continued that from there on. And the reason for that was because I started doing weekly reading vlogs, just 1 reading vlog a week, but it wasn't enough because I read too much in a week and there's too much to talk about. So now I do 2 reading vlogs a week discussing what I've been reading, and unless I have a monthly wrap-up coming up in that week, making the point of the vlog just pointless, I will get those vlogs done. But at the moment I have 2 of them. I do a midweek vlog that comes out every Thursday, and I have an end of week vlog that comes out every Sunday. So I have eclipsed that one, a big tick for that one too. My 10th goal was to let you guys know what I am reading every month. So yes, I ended up coming up with this one. Again, I did not have a title for either of these goals, but I call them my monthly wrap video. Because my channel started in the middle of January this year, sorry, this is talking about what I was reading. So this was my TBR videos. Because I started my channel halfway through January, the point of a TBR for January was moot because I had already started 2 weeks in. But February, March, April, May, June, and July TBRs are all available, so we can tick that off with a very big resounding tick. I'm very happy about that. So my 11th goal and final goal for my reading goals for 2020 was to upload 1 fun video a month. While this would be to do with reading, they wouldn't be about the current books that I'm reading, but more about books in general. Now, I didn't always accomplish this, but for the majority of the time I did. The one that I did in January was a Q&A with Mr. Francie. I did 2 in February, the Anything But and the Rapid Fire book tags. I did 1 in March, the Reading Habits book tag. I did none in April. Boo! I did 1 in May, the Magical book tag. I did 0 in June, boo. And I've already done 1 in July, which is my Bookish Scenarios book tag. However, I'm trying to set a new goal for myself at the moment, which is to not always make my fun videos be book tags. I don't mind doing book tags at all. I think they're great. They're a whole lot of fun. And it's a chance to share with you guys answers to questions that I haven't pre-looked at prior to doing the video, so you get an honest reaction out of me and an honest answer out of me to these questions that I'm not prepared for. But I would also like to do other videos as well, and so this could be an example of a video that I'm doing that's a fun video. I'm not talking about the books that I'm currently reading, I'm talking about my my reading goals and rechecking in with that. So I would like to vary it up a little bit, and yeah, you will see more variants coming up. But yeah, for the most part, I'm really happy. I feel like I've ticked off everything, and for the things that I haven't ticked off, I feel like they're going to be ticked off very soon. I want to quickly go back and refer to goal number 3, buddy reading at least 2 books. I'm going to be reading from scratch in not today, but starting it tomorrow, so I will be able to complete that one by the end of this week. And the 2 books that my subscribers suggest, I have confirmed that that second book is coming in. It will be on my August TBR, so I will be able to tick that one off too. By the end of next month, it'll be on my August TBR, and then that will be complete too. So yeah, really happy about the way things are going with my goals, but we'll see how they improve or how they don't improve as we go throughout the second half of this year. But I will leave that there and let you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. As I said earlier, I post videos every Thursday and Sunday with reviews and other videos in between. Thank you so much for watching, mwah, and happy reading. Bye guys, bye!